Welcome to KjonnyMo Radio. Dark Time Radio, I should say. As dark as I can get, with 3 parrots in the kitchen. I'm trying to separate this from the normal YouTube station so that we can talk about or comment on the more crazy things in life and why certain things happen and why we find ourselves in these situations and like what makes a big deal out of something or doesn't or whatever. I mean, this has been a really, fucked up month, and we can talk any way we want to talk, Nothing, comments or anything. It's all cool. Just be respectful to anybody and everybody. And, everybody has different political views. I don't care about that. I have my opinions. Y'all have yours. And, the thing is that I just watched something about the Challenger disaster back in '86, I guess it was. Seems to me there was another one. No, I guess that's right. The Challenger disaster was '86, and then the Columbia one was, later on. Because I remember, when that happened, I remember a couple months later, I had some folks visiting from England, and I was supposed to meet R.L. Burnside up in Mississippi to do a tour. I forgot where we were going. I guess, southern tour. Maybe even clear to New York. No, I don't know. Anyway, it was southeast mainly. And I had driven these people. They had a cousin in Huntsville, Alabama, where the NASA has some kind of space center. And when we got there, these people were talking about the Challenger disaster and how incredibly sad it was because of the crew. They were all like teachers. They were really good people. They weren't spies. They weren't, they weren't like, it wasn't a sleazy mission. It was a total learning experience for kids. And anyway, it was very tragic. And then, and what I heard on this thing is from the ground station, and I try not to watch a lot of this stuff because it's too depressing and I don't have the time. But it goes back to people not caring about people wanting to rush something through instead of, or their money, $282 million more to save the crew, or $10 million more to add safe ejection seats, or I mean, wow. What is one what they call, the things that planes take off on, little cruisers and, God, I'm spacing out. Anyway, all those ships, I bet you cost over $250 million, but to put a safety situation into they're constantly trying to raise money to build the thing, and they had plenty of indicators that the O-rings weren't safe, and but they were going to go with the mission anyway, even though for months these engineers were saying, "Hey, this is no good, and they totally put these people at risk because I guess the prestige of NASA wanting to get the thing off the ground. They were trying to push together a bunch of missions and anyway, to me, there's just no excuse about it. It just comes back to money and where the money is spent. Carriers, of course, they're called carriers. And I think one carrier cost, especially, even back in '86, 36 years ago, 37, it cost less than with the inflation. But, I mean, you can easily find out how much it costs. But the point is that it costs a lot more, okay, than $282 million. But so the money is out there. I'm saying there's 350 million people in this country. Is that right? What if all of us contributed 60 cents? If they had if NASA made a big, publicity thing. If everybody in this country contributes, 50 cents, we can create a safety zone for these astronauts each time they go up. Or I don't know, maybe it's they use one thing, right? I don't know how many shuttles they had, but the thing is that maybe two or three, and they could have made the whole thing could have been made safer for them. I mean, coming into maybe not in space when they were in space, actual space, but when they came down, re-entered the atmosphere. But so those people went through complete hell, and then I read where one idiot camera person or somebody in the news people said when the things started to break up, they said, "Oh, get the cameras on the families, see their reaction." It's pretty pathetic. But now this comes back to people suffer all kinds of tragedies, and my tragedy this month has been the loss of animals. Most of them I don't really know well in this situation, but with the goats, the kids, there were two mothers pregnant. I should have been more prepared, but I make no excuse for that. I should have understood about the time they were going to have kids and gone down to that bar every night, which I did not do after seeing them maybe during the day and things like that. And I had people helping me because I was very sick. Not anyway, sick enough with COVID in December, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what went wrong. Maybe I could have saved that first goat's kids, maybe not. If I had just gone down there every night and every morning, from like the end of December on, and then I would have found something between the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of January. Okay, instead of my friend finding 3 dead babies. So that's a fuck up, on my part. And then my brother actually told me he thought that she just was ready to have her kids because she was just laying low in the barn. And that was on a Saturday, I think the 7th of January. And he left that night, and the 8th was the only day that I had to prepare for a friend of mine who's going to come out and work the next day, and it's going to be pretty intense. A lot of hours a week. And we had a lot to do. So I just chilled out and I didn't go down there that day. The next morning he came out and found 3 live babies and 1 dead one. Once again, another fuck up. I should have gone down there, not I should have, and demanded, once I had a warning, and I had the warning anyway, but from before, just the idea of the dates approximately they'd be born, I should have gone down there that morning and that night. And maybe I could have saved the last one. Then, on top of everything else, although I was asking some people, with goat people, I mean, it never occurred to me that this goat would have 4, maybe triplets, maybe 3, not 4. But I should have gone online or something. I did ask the vet, and she said that the things they take care of themselves. But, I should have just pulled one when I saw, if there were 4 of them, I should have pulled 2 of them. If one was born dead, I should have pulled one. Because most likely, I knew I was dealing with an older mother. And, because I had her son, I had to euthanize her son about 18 months ago, because male goats they have a habit of getting kidney stones and have urinary tract infections and things. So, sadly, he survived one incident, but a while later, over a year later, maybe 2 years even, he got this other one. And so I should have realized, I knew that she was about 7 or 8, maybe 9 even, I don't know, but probably at least 7. And I should have, just common sense would should have told me that get the 3rd one away, whichever one, maybe I would have taken that point, the smallest one. But, which wasn't Coco who died. And then getting back into Coco, that night before Steve found her, I did not go to the barn, to make sure he had gone, and he wasn't going to, or something, and I should have been responsible to go down there to make sure that all the baby goats were safely inside. I didn't do it. That's another fuck up. So I didn't do it, not because I didn't want to do it, but because uh, they were always going inside, and I took it for granted that they would, they'd be okay, and he had been jamming, and he was going to be back early the next morning, and they a lot of times the goats always go in there. Well, this time they didn't all make it in there. I could have found that one of them was gone, and if I couldn't get out there because I had some trouble walking, I could have called Steve, my friend, and he would have cruised around and hopefully found her. But it wasn't until the next morning that he did find her, and then I started to get it together better in the sense that I called. I wasn't gonna wait for people to treat her. I had to call the vet, so I did, and then we did treat her somewhat, and they just said to bring her in as fast as possible. So well, actually at 1:30 they said to last week, and so we did, and she then got in very good shape, with what they did to her. It was amazing, different goat. But at the point where they began to show me about how to tube feeding, and they told me it was going to take a lot. I mean, I knew I was dedicated to do it. I could do it. I was getting better from COVID. I was feeling pretty good, all in all, except for making some stupid decisions in the past. But I thought I could do this. But the reality of it is that I couldn't. And so when Steve was there too, and the doctor said, "Oh, it's easy," and he said, "Well, we've got it," and we didn't have it. I mean, I'd never done it before. And I should have, at that point, said, well, wait a second, you're saying this is a two-man job, which she also said. I have to do it alone, and it's the weekend, and nobody's going to come around my place at 2 or 4 in the morning, and probably not 6 either, or probably not even 12 at midnight to help me feed this baby goat. So, and you're saying it's a two-person procedure? And meanwhile, I've got to be really careful I don't drown her in her own milk, which is essentially what I wound up doing. I wound up putting the fluid, even though she taught me how not to do it, by drawing on the end of the tube to make sure I wasn't um, sucking in like particles or something or whatever. See, her stomach had to be pretty empty, and it couldn't be it couldn't have a whole lot of stuff in it, but when I breathed, when I sucked in, I got stuff, and I thought, gosh, she still has food in her from last time. Apparently, the food came from her lungs, so it's just a big mess. The whole thing, just really, really sucks. And she was a complete innocent, just caught up, um, just being caught up in a situation where people weren't thinking clearly, including myself, and so I mean, especially myself. So for this station, I'm not trying to bash myself. I'm just trying to say to you guys, if you're ever in a similar situation with whatever you might be in, and you don't believe the people are telling you everything you need to know about certain things or whatever, then go out and find those things and ask about them, because this is not you can't just do it because you figure you know how to do it. You just got to get real about it and really make sure you really know how to do whatever it is you're doing, especially when it comes down to taking care of an animal. This will never happen again, I doubt, in my life, because we have no male goats that are intact, and and I don't plan on getting another male goat to get get other goats pregnant. So I hope these guys come out fairly tame, but I'm not that worried about it, because what difference does it make? I mean, they're just doing their thing, and they'll be sort of semi-tame anyway. So, yeah, back to if you do have any doubt about anything, whether it's a question that you have to ask your doctor because of some diagnosis, and he tries to blow you off and tells you not to worry about it or whatever, but you do worry about it because there's a problem, then you might want to go and just deal with it in a different way than let somebody in power brush you off. So that's kind of what happened here with me. People in power said, well, we got you now, you got to listen to us, because you're probably too insecure to say, oh, wait a minute, I could do this, but I need some special help. And, yeah, man, the whole thing is really rotten. And I just want you guys to know that any comments that you make or anything like that, I totally appreciate it. And if you have any parents that you need a home for, we're open, and I'm glad to accept them in any way, and I will try to find either a home for them, or they can just stay right here with us, and hopefully we'll have a nice spring, and I can get all these birds, outside. And they are outside, a lot of them, but they have to be acclimated. I can't just put a bird outside and give it to me now. If somebody gave me a bird right now, I'd have to leave it inside, for a few months. And then as the weather gets warmer, then I have to put the bird, then I can put the bird outside. But okay, just be true to yourself with this thing. I mean, especially regarding when other lives, be it, ants in an ant farm or elephants in Africa and in between. If you are responsible for a live creature and you're in a place where experts are telling you what to do, but you're still confused about it, and it's your responsibility when you take the animal home to help it survive, by not making the mistake like that I made, by assuming that I had this tube down her throat, that it would be okay, because it shifted. Now, if I practiced that 5 or 10 times, not necessarily even on her, but on a dummy doll or something to try to, press it down, or any other animal, whatever, maybe, well, especially her, because she's the one that needed it, then I could have been okay with it. I believe if I had just practiced 5 or 10 times and understood that, but I didn't get that opportunity. So, I thank you very much for listening to me, and take care. Wherever you're at in this world, whatever afternoon it is, whatever morning it is, whatever evening it is, this is KjonnyMo Radio, signing off.